Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Professor Sistrunk, and I'm reaching out to my students. Okay, so you've been dealing a lot with security, and you noticed me following this path about security. And trust me, I'm reading through each and every one of your discussion questions. So I'm actually getting a chance to see how you are actually thinking. Some of the stuff I'm not too much agreeing with, but hey, that's your opinion, that's your idea. I have to let you have your opinion and your idea. That's why the discussion questions are open up like that. I want to know what you think. Remember, in the beginning of this, I said we talking about securing you. How will you secure your household? How will you secure your data? How would you secure your presence? It's important that you know these things because, hint, when you go in on an interview, the IT manager might, for some reason, ask you this question. You might be going for a job as desktop support. You might be going for a job as a network administrator, system administrator, and the IT manager might just come out and ask you, so let me ask you this question. What type of tools do you use to secure yourself? I wouldn't want to be that person that say, oh, I just use antivirus. I really wouldn't want to be that person, but that's you. So you just went through a section that talked about VPNs. What you don't know is VPNs are really dirt cheap out there. They don't cost money at all. And what you should know is your information is valuable. You may say, me as a person, my information, I'm not worried about it. Wait until you try to buy that first house and they tell you that your credit score is so low, you need to get out of our office. The first thing you need to do right now is check your credit report. And if you have checked your credit report, then do the due diligence to protect yourself, because protecting yourself means you protecting your family. And protecting your family means that companies can trust you. And you may say, well, how can you equate that with me protecting myself, protecting companies? Because some IT managers gonna ask you the age-old question. You want to work for us? Tell me, how do you secure yourself? Now, many people don't think that this question is gonna come up in interviews. Let me tell you what's happening out here now. This question will definitely come up, because the nucleus of the problem with IT today is one thing and one thing only: people. If people learn how to secure themselves or learn how to do the due diligence of securing the company, we wouldn't have as many problems as we have. But people don't know security. IT departments are dropping the ball on making sure that the staff understand how critical security is. And you can't lack understanding how to use a firewall. Do you know how to use a firewall? And if you don't know how to use a firewall, just look on your computer. You have a firewall on your computer. Is it turned on or is it turned off? Well, you should know how to get there. Check out your router. You have cable coming into your home. You have Comcast or one of these other vendors. Have you ever investigated looking inside of your router? Do you know that on the router that you have at home, that you can actually configure it to where it can be highly secure? Hey, I'm telling you something you probably already know, right? Anti-intrusion software, which has virus protection in there, anti-spyware protection in there, and a firewall built in there. And although you may say, it's not that critical with me, it will make me feel comfortable as an IT manager hiring someone, knowing that that person knows what security really is and what it really means to this organization. So hacking has become so entrenched in our society that everyone has to play a part. I'm gonna leave you with some devices at the end of this class, and that's gonna be up to you to research them. But if you're going into the security field, you ain't gonna have no choice but to research it. But if you're going into the IT field, whether you're gonna be in desktop support, whether you're gonna be in a network administrator, a system administrator, but I want you to really think about security, because that's gonna be the premier thing to know when you go into your life in far as a career in this industry. You're gonna have to know security. It's no way around it anymore. Okay, with that being said, this is Professor Cisco. I hope I was clear. I know this was somewhat of a long session, but let's look into the next lesson. Let's go into the next lesson and get ready for that discussion question. Okay, so we are back. Now, like I said earlier, we're dealing with protecting your data and your privacy. And I know a few of you have stated that I really don't need the big stuff because it costs a little bit too much money. In this particular section, I want to talk about all the tools you can protect yourself. Now, even though I keep telling you this is about protecting yourself, you know there's a grander scheme in this. It's not always about you. It's about you, your family, your privacy, your data, and how it would affect companies when you get hired. See, privacy and data is important to you. So when I talk about protecting your data, I'm simply asking you to think about how to protect the devices that you have so individuals will not be able to get access to them. I'm simply asking you to think about safeguarding your privacy so people won't get your data, because it's a bigger picture in play. You going into the IT industry, and it's important that you know how to protect yourself. Now, riddle me this. What if a hiring manager asks you a simple question? How do you protect your data at home? How would you answer that? Would you say, oh, I simply just use an antivirus program? I wouldn't do that one, but you being truthful. But now you're learning about authentication, authorization, how to encrypt your material. You're learning about safeguarding your material. That gives you a good look at what IT managers may ask you in an interview. Hint, hint, may. So protecting your data, starting off with that. Yeah, we have firewalls out there. Do you keep your firewall on? Do you even know what a firewall is? We talk about managing your operating system and overseeing and managing the browsers that you use. Do you know most people have at least 3 browsers on their computer? We're talking about protecting these devices, IoT, Internet of Things. So it's important that you understand how to protect all these particular devices that you are bringing into your life. So do you have the right capability or the skill set to protect all these devices? Your phone, you may have one of them Apple phones that tell you your heartbeat, your cell phone. Are you using the right tools? You have wireless devices that need to be safeguarded. Do you have the proper encryption? Do you know what WPA2, when it comes to Wi-Fi hotspots, do you just plant yourself down and start using a Wi-Fi hotspot, or do you have on your cell phone, on your laptop, encryption tools, protection tools to make sure? And to say to yourself, I really don't want to buy these tools because they cost too much. Can you imagine how much money you will have to spend the moment you are hacked? Do you keep your Bluetooth turned off? Especially if you're not using it. Check your cell phone. You can go ahead and do that right now. So, having the right password. Now, what I instruct people to do is have a real good password, but the password should be a password phrase. Like, I like to eat dinner at 5 p.m. I mix it up. I mix up these characters in that phrase, a phrase that you can remember, a phrase you don't have to worry about anyone else knowing. So using a phrase is 100 times better than just using a simple password. As you can see, So having a password phrase is a lot better. If you take a look at this is my passphrase, and you take this here and mix in these characters, $, a pound symbol, or as you like to call it, hashtag symbol now. You can also encrypt your data. One of the biggest things out there that you see now is encrypting your passwords. Or you may hear of something where you can have what they call two-factor authentication. So you can now encrypt your entire computer where only you can get to the data. And if you have the right passphrase, you don't have to ever worry about losing that data. But just having it bagged up in my house is okay. But if my house burned down, then all that money I spent meant nothing. So I not only bag up in my house, but I bag up in a separate location. So that's the common way we bag things up in the industry. We bag up on site, but we also transfer that backup to another off-site place for safe storage. So you see, you can back up with these many different things, cloud storage. So now let's talk a little bit about safeguarding your data and your privacy. Now this is about your behavior, the things you do online. Now I don't know what you do online, I'm not there, but we want to make sure that you do the proper things. So you can see right now, two-factor authentication. I spoke about that a little earlier. This is how you can protect yourself. And I know some of you already use it, but do you know a lot of places do not use this? Also, we want to make sure that our emails and browser privacy settings are set. So you see here, you want to put on privacy mode on all these different browsers, but I'm going to give you a browser that is out there to be one of the best browsers to use. And most important to each and every one of you should be this: the way you secure yourself will show that IT manager that you have the skills and the knowledge to secure their organizations. So although we showing you how to secure yourself, one of the questions that I always ask, hint, hint, how do you secure yourself? What tools do you use? Tell me what tool that you use that helps secure your devices. Or most importantly, this is where you can always catch a person up in the interview. Tell me, and you're gonna hear me, I repeated this in earlier, but you're hearing it again. Tell me, what was the last article you read on some organization being hacked? Explain how to protect your devices and network from threats. That's important to an IT manager. In summary, an IT manager can throw these questions at you. Explain how to protect your devices and network from threats. That always throws a person off. They coming in for an interview to be a desktop support, but you ask them that question. These are things that are important